Okay. Folks, welcome back to Curse of Strahd. Our second session. So, once again, give yourselves a pat on the back for all making it here. It is not easy. And as the internet issues can attest, unlikely to be without a few hiccups along the way. But, guys, you have written some amazing journals on the Super Commoner Discord. Those of you who had the chance, I want you to know that that is amazing. Last time, which was our first session, you had a sumptuous dinner with Duchess Morwen Daggerford in the town of Daggerford, on the beautiful Sword Coast. We were introduced to about 14 characters, as both you and your backup characters were wined and dined. You were given a first quest as members of the Duchess's newly formed Adventurers Guild. You went to chase away some rowdy strangers outside town who might have had certain strange powers, only to find that their geriatric leader, Stanimir, you knew all of your names and wanted to tell you a mysterious tale. He spat wine into the fire and told you a story of a mysterious lord that his forebears had helped in days long ago. A lord who was cursed to become a tyrant. He asked your help to come away with these Vistani to the land of Barovia and speak with their leader, Madam Eva, who knows all. He offered you each magical gifts if you would come. Per your agreement with the Duchess, you agreed. After a few days' travel with their wagons, you got to know these people, their family ways. They told you a few of their superstitions. And on the third day, a thick, choking mist surrounded you and bore you away to another place. A dark wood in the middle of the night. You became separated from the Vistani wagons. And you were beset by wolves. Barely coming through with your lives, the last wolf was destroyed by a strange rider. A figure at once alluring and terrifying, whose very presence froze you in place as he rode up on a fiery steed. He laughed and said, "Welcome to my kingdom." So, here you are in what the Vistani told you is called the Svalich Woods. There you go. You can click on the image to make it a little bigger. All your friends, the familiar places, your ally, the Duchess, and your fellow Adventurers Guild members are not here with you now. Panting, you recover from your harrowing experiences here in this cold and eerie wood. Black pools of water stand like dark mirrors in and around the muddy roadway. Giant trees loom on both sides of the road, their branches clawing at the mist. The seven of you are alone, lost on the road. The mist and the dark. How terrible it is to not see, not hear, to be lost in the mist. As the dawn light begins to ever so faintly illuminate it, the gray fog only becomes stranger, more mysterious. but it is enough so you can barely make out tracks on the roadway. The tracks of wagons.
And these are... Oh. I was going to say, do these look to be similar size to the Vistani carriages?
Yes, indeed.
So, like Elena just said, I guess we follow. Unless anybody has any other ideas about going into the fog.
That seems like a terrible idea.
No other ideas, but while you watch look at the tracks, behind you where Kata was lying in a puddle, there's the sound of someone stepping into a violin, or something like that at least. There's splintering wood and this sproing of things that were under tension. And as you turn around, you see Kata standing up, but his left forearm is like at this angle, and he just pulls it off. I don't know how to react to it. It's like a totally nonchalant movement, and then he like lifts up his right leg and puts this forearm into his claw and grabs tools with his right hand from his pouch and starts poking it. He doesn't have a left hand at this point. I'm just saying, you guys can do what you want. It's just he has to fix things. I'm going to remove the prone icon from him.
Does that look like he's like just ripped his arm off, or does it look like a prosthesis?
Well, there's no blood spatter, and the thing that he pulled off, I mean, there's a leather glove, of course, and in the back there's like wood splinters and rope, and maybe you can see the gleam of some metal in the darkness. I don't know.
Yeah. Vedator kind of like raises an eyebrow and says, "Oh, I didn't know you were a soldier." It's not Vedator's voice, but whatever.
Nova's not going to back away, but she's going to be like, she's just going to stare down at Kata, being like, what the fuck?
He actually makes the same, like as he pulls the hand from his stump, he makes the same noise as it broke when he was trying to stand up, that sprawling noise, but it sounds annoying when he does it. Like, no, it doesn't. It sounds annoyed as he does it. So yeah, that's just that. He's gonna like poke it for a while and not really react to anything that you guys tell him because he seems busy with it.
Okay. So Kata is conducting some self-repairs while you guys pick your way amongst the wolf corpses and continue down the mist-choked road.
Oh, before we leave,
Yeah.
could Vedator somehow like inspect these corpses to see if the wolves were ill or diseased in any way? Because I remember he said that I remember you telling him that they had this like unnatural rage in them. Could it have been perhaps scaria or some other type of illness?
Go ahead and make an investigation roll as everybody is kind of picking themselves up and dusting themselves off. Is anyone helping Vedata? No.
I'll help. I'll help if he was going to go check out the bodies of the wolves.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that will apply advantage. The wolves' bodies are emaciated yet muscular. Their eyes are bloodshot. And they moved with this almost unnatural energy and rage. It's not exactly that they seem diseased, but they definitely don't seem normal.
Thank you.
Alina will say, yeah, magic wolves, magic fog. And she'll just go, okay, yep, I don't want to be here anymore. And she'll look at the group. Are we going to follow the tracks? Right.
Yes, but one moment. And Nova wants to go over how big are the big dire wolves? Like, how big are their fangs?
Well, there's only the one direwolf,
Right.
now broken into bits by the mysterious rider. How big are its fangs? Pretty darn big. I mean, they're the size of a bear's.
Nova wants to try and remove one as a trophy.
All right. Well, you've got. You take a minute to do that, and you start, cutting away and yanking at the teeth. Maybe you can borrow a pair of pliers from Kata or something. And as this somewhat gross activity is going on, you tug the second fang free. The rest of you can notice just a little ways down the road and off in the woods a strange bobbing lantern light appears.
Oh.
Where from?
It is down the road and slightly to the side, slightly to the north. You can barely make it out through the trees and mist, but in the dark, it stands out.
That doesn't bode well.
You now have 2 direwolf fangs.
Huzzah! Nova is going to tuck those in pouch for now and then maybe think about stringing them up somewhere.
Okay.
How is Vidata looking? Is he still pretty bloodied?
Yeah, but he's like just got up and got on with it. Looks pretty happy actually. He has got this really stupid grin on his face, even while he's probably still bleeding slightly.
As like she's putting away her violin after the fight, she will glance at Vidata and kind of, without really saying anything, pull her bow across the strings for a sweet note and cast Healing Word.
Okay, Dahlia casts Healing Word. Cool.
He shivers a little from the magic and looks over to Dahlia and gives her a slight nod. And he says, "Oh, thank you. I guess I didn't realize how hurt I really was."
You took quite a beating.
He shrugs. All in a day's work.
Hope not. Not really a precedent I'd want to have set for my job.
He chuckles and just kind of shrugs and says, "Well, we're in a cursed land now. We best get used to beatings. Unless anybody else wants to take body parts of these diseased wolves, we should probably get moving."
Yes, before anything else comes.
You.
There's an echo coming from someone.
I think it's when we both talk at the same time.
You guys hear that? Ah, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's just I think it's both when we both talk at the same time. It's activating both microphones and such.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
As you guys make your way down the road, somewhat toward the bobbing lantern light, you see another one appear. And you distantly hear the jangling as of a small chain or something similar. And as you approach, the light moves away from you slightly, kind of bobbing back and forth.
Do these lanterns appear to be like just floating in the middle, in the air, not held to anything?
You can't really tell because all you can really make out through the mist is the light itself. However, you start catching up with it, and then you hear a and hello, calls a voice muffled through the fog.
We recognize the voice?
Hello, you do. It's a Vistana's voice.
Alina will shout, "Reveal yourself! We're not trying to get attacked again."
There's
He doesn't speak for all of us.
There's a pause as you come around the bend and come upon a wagon and oh right, I can't show this to players if I that's all right. You're here in the Svalich Woods. You come upon a wagon and some Vistani, a group of Vistani, who seem to quite pleased to see you. We were searching for you, they say.
Is Stanmere with you?
He's just a little further down the road.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the other wagons now, all of them with little lanterns lit up. Just a little further down the road, kind of strung out in a line. And Stanimir is there, waving from the next wagon over. He's holding up a brilliant lantern and wearing an equally brilliant smile. Well, my goodness. There you are.
You knew we'd get lost, didn't you, Stanmere?
No, got a bit turned around, didn't we? Coming through the mist. That can happen, you know. To the best of us, but he kind of looks you up and down, all of you. Whatever has befallen you? You look all tore up.
Almost literally.
Can Dahlia insight check him to see if he genuinely has no idea what happened to us?
Go for it. Dahlia, your gut is telling you that he is genuinely happy to see you. His reaction seems genuine. But this guy, all the Vistani, you always have this feeling that they know more than they're letting on. Especially Stanimir. But especially any of the older Vistani. But he doesn't seem pleased at all that you were attacked. But he also doesn't seem surprised.
Yeah, Vidas is going to look over at Dahlia and kind of like read her face. And he'll just kind of give her this look, kind of like back towards the Vistani. And his face will basically read like, is he telling the truth? But he won't say anything.
I don't know if she picks up on that. She'll give a very slight nod
Should we tell him about the other thing?
The other thing?
He doesn't even look over at Stanmir.
At this point, Kata intercedes and repeats what the writer said in that writer's voice.
Okay. Stanimir's eyes go wide, and all of Vistani nearby kind of stop what they're doing, taking care of the horses. Actually, one of them was just pulling out an accordion and cleaning it. But they stop what they're doing and they look over at you like, whoa. Not the best descriptions. They look over at you with widened eyes. And Stenimir nods and says, Strahd von Zarovich, our king, our cursed king. Yes, you look like you've been attacked by wolves, all right. The wolves serve him. He is the greatest and hungriest predator of all that prowl these woods. But he sets the lantern down on a kind of a fold-out table hanging out the back of the wagon. And he's actually been leaning on that large wicker chest that I've mentioned before last session. He's been kind of leaning on that, and he kind of grasps the lid. Enough of all that. You have proved yourselves, and earned, and more than earned, your gifts from Madam Eva herself. She said these were to be given to you once you came to Barovia. Well, she told me the names, your names, and the names of these gifts, so here you are. And he takes out a key and starts unlocking the padlock on the large wicker chest near the back of the wagon.
Dahlia will speak up as he turns away. Are we not meeting with Madam Eva ourselves?
He looks up as he unclicks the padlock. Well, of course, that's where we're taking you. If you come with us. He pauses for a moment. You are coming to see Our Lady, Madam Eva, aren't you?
Will we get lost coming there as well?
He smiles. The mists surround this land of Barovia. They are within it, but they aren't so confusing and dangerous for outsiders away from the borders. He opens up the wicker chest. You accept these gifts? He starts pulling things out and holding them up one by one.
Sure. And Helena will open her hand, expecting it to be dropped in there straight away.
Right
Honest-
on. Okay.
Short microphone check. Can you guys still hear me fine?
Yes.
Yep.
Doesn't sound quite as
Okay.
crisp, or is that my imagination?
Yeah, I turned on the echo cancellation, so it doesn't pick up you, I hope.
No,
I'll
it sounds
fiddle with it
perfect.
some more.
Okay, he pulls out a chain with a lens on it. Vedetta's traveling telescope lens. And I will go ahead and read this off. This magnificent sapphire lens is crafted with a star-shaped disc and a chain that fuses it with any telescope. This item has 3 charges and renews 1 every night at midnight. For 0 charges, you may view the stars even when the sky is obscured by clouds. For 1 charge, you gain access to the guide as a starry form. For 2 charges, you may watch the stars, casting the augury spell 3 times in succession. The guide starry form is a constellation of a guide with a walking stick appears on you. While this form is active, when you use your last 5 feet of movement each turn, you may allow one ally you can see to move 5 feet as well. If the telescope that holds the lens is returned to its original owner, the lens will increase in power. So, Vedata, you can go ahead and right-click that card. It's over here. Maybe I should be doing this on a different screen, but that's the screen we're using.
There's also one by the bottom of our tokens.
Oh, apparently I did it twice.
Thank you.
Sure. Let's see. Will this break everything if I do this? No. Okay. I'm going to move us to back to our landing page because so that we don't have so many issues. There we go. Okay. So did you grab the card already? Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. The next, he reaches into the wicker chest and he pulls out a blue sash. Mav's Sash of Shell Fighting, he says. This blue strip of cloth has the wear and tear of many battles. When no one's paying attention, it often flutters as though in a dramatic breeze. Something about this sash, worn about around the waist, smacks of high adventure and shared dangers. When using the Shell Defense racial feature, the wearer of the sash grants half of that AC bonus to adjacent allies. In addition, whenever you or an adjacent ally is hit by an attack, you may spend 1 hit die to deal 2 damage per level to the attacker. And if the ends of the sash are rubbed on the ink of the rarest adventure book, it will increase in power.
Ooh.
Ooh. Mavs takes it and ties it around his head first, like a Ninja Turtle.
That's incredible.
Oh god.
Of course he does.
I am a Mav stan.
Totally.
He reaches back in and pulls out, or perhaps wrapped up in the sash, are a couple of pieces of jewelry. He holds up a shiny silver ring and calls it Kira's Ring of the Ruse. This silver ring is plain, but close inspection reveals it is shiny enough to cheat in a card game. When you successfully hide from an enemy, you may turn this ring on your finger as an action to make that enemy slowly forget that you were there, and eventually give up searching for you. Once per long rest, you can turn this ring on your finger to become invisible as an action. Anything you are wearing or carrying is invisible with you. You remain invisible until the ring is removed, until you attack or cast a spell, or until you use a bonus action to become visible again. If touched by a Baal Verzi assassin, it will increase in power.
So shiny. Kira looks very excited.
Okay. You can right-click that card and select Take Card. If you can see it.
So you would think I will figure this out.
Do you see the card
Did
on the map?
I see the card. I am having trouble right-clicking.
Really?
It might be a personal problem.
Okay. That's fine.
You may have to use the select tool, and maybe you're still on the measurement tool or something on the.
Yeah, you do have to have a select tool.
Also, that invisibility does not have a duration, does it?
Nope.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Is it still broken by like attacks and spells and all that?
Yeah. Kira, you want to read that off since you have the card now?
Yeah, you remain invisible until the ring is removed, until you attack or cast a spell, or until you use a bonus action to become visible again.
Oh, okay.
All right. Next, he struggles. The old man kind of strains as he pulls out an enormous greatsword. Nova's Blade of the Beast Within. This steel greatsword has a pommel that seems almost alive, crafted with the heartstrings of some strange beast. In battle, it growls and groans horribly. It's a runic, which is my word for +1 attack and damage. Greatsword. When an adjacent creature takes a critical hit, you may choose to be selfish or unselfish. If you choose selfish, increase your HP by +1 permanently. If you choose unselfish, you may immediately spend a hit die to heal all allies you can see. If the blade is smeared with the ashes of a slain angel, it will increase in power.
Holy shit. Nova initially looks like very cautious about accepting it, but once this greatsword is in her hand, she looks bloodthirsty. She's like, it's a fine blade. She tries to be really chill, but she wants to use this on something now.
Cool. Well, you can right click that card and take it. Select take card. Next, Stanimir holds up a chain with a pendant on it and calls it Dahlia's Dreadful Heart. This cold iron anatomical heart contains a dark and mysterious purple crystal. When a dark story is told, it is sometimes heard to beat. The Dreadful Heart has 3 charges, and one is renewed each day at midnight. It must be worn around the neck. 1 charge. When you use the Tales from Beyond class feature, you may apply the effects to 1 additional creature. 2 charges. Use a crystal ball to cast Clairvoyance with a range of 10 miles. That spell usually has a range of 1 mile. 3 charges. Or maybe not even 1 mile. It's something you can obviously see. 3 charges. Use a Taroka deck to cast Legend Lore. And if the Dreadful Heart is dipped in the blood of the Night Mother's priestess, it will increase in power.
Dahlia at first is very, when everyone else is getting their stuff, she's very okay, cool, you're pulling stuff out of a bag. But as she takes the necklace, she kind of has a realization and she steps back, putting it on with kind of awe on her face.
Very cool. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where is... there we go. So you can go ahead and right-click that card.
Yeah, sorry.
Dahlia. Here, and then he pulls out another ring, but this ring is very different looking from the silver one. And he calls it Alina's Maddening Moon Ring. This gold ring is studded with tiny gems that sometimes seem to whisper with tiny voices, especially under moonlight. You are immune to the Moonbeam spell. Whenever within that spell's area, or an area of moonlight, you have +1 sorcerer points. If you choose the lunar phase blessing that matches the moon's current phase, you have +1 sorcerer points. And if the ring is pressed against a vampire spawn afflicted with indefinite madness, it will increase in power.
Thank you. And she will take it and put it on her pinky finger, and she'll spin it as she walks away.
Cool. Oh, you managed to take the card. Great. Your internet must be working. Okay. And finally, he pulls out something that moves. Flutters, in fact. And it looks like this. And he calls it Kata's Clockwork Crow. This intricate automaton hardly ever requires winding and flies on wings driven by cogwheels. It bears the maker's mark of Fritz von Weirg. Inside this automaton is an extra-dimensional space that holds up to 25 pounds. It obeys two commands, collect and give. Collect is a bonus action that causes it to fly up to 25 feet and swallow one unattended item that could be held in one hand. Give is a free action that causes it to instantly place one collected item of your choice into your hand. And if the crow collects a piece of another of Von Weirg's automatons, it will increase in power. Kata, when you see that maker's mark, you are instantly overwhelmed with a memory, springing unbidden to your mind. It's of Frida von Weirg. Frida, not Fritz. Shedding a tear over one of her vanished husband's half-finished creations. In your memory, she turns away from you, embarrassed. She wanted his creations to remember him by, but nothing finished remained in the shop. She would love any of his automatons, for she has none.
Kata's speechless. Like you can see like the feathers on his head like move in different directions. It seems like there's a storm brewing in him that doesn't really know which way it's wanna blow. And he just takes this into its hand and like pets it like a child, basically. And he just looks at Stanimir and nods once and takes a step back, like basically into. I assume there's like a row of us standing there with the gifts or something.
Yeah, you're all kind of gathered around the back of this curved roof wagon.
He's clearly not able to say anything about this.
Well, Kata, not to overwhelm you anymore, but that would be your flavorful way of beginning to attune to an item. Attuning takes an hour. But beginning to attune to the Kata's Clockwork Crow. And you can sense that there are already some things inside it. So you can look at those now or later.
I will look at them later, but
Okay.
Kata is probably going to want to like cast Identify on it before he look at it more closely before he tunes. Just like that's what he does. He's a very careful person whenever it's about things that might explode.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay.
Well, just to say that is basically his training taking over. It's not like that he mistrusts the Vistani in this case. It's just like that's something he does without thinking.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there will be questions about all of these items for some of the specifics. So please feel free to ask whenever seems like a good time. I know that, there's going to be specifics that need defining. Like, for example, Vedetta's item is actually a lens, so that it can be attached to the telescope that Vedetta already has.
Yep.
Okay. Folks. Stanimir puts his hands on his hips, his narrow old man hips, and kind of looks over you guys with a thoughtful expression. Looking quite pleased with himself, actually. And he says, "Now, let us continue to Madam Eva. We'll have to use the daylight to make haste. You can nap at the wagons if you like."
How long of a journey is it? Alina will kind of pick up from admiring the ring.
He says, "Well, for the Vistani, it'll only take a day." And the rest of them, kind of ordered around by Rotka, Stanimir's son, start making things ready. They hook they extinguish or hook up the lanterns that they were using to search for you back on the wagons, and begin packing everything away. Would you guys like to?
When we're not with you. Sorry?
I'm sorry. Were you saying something to Stanimir?
Yeah, Vidata kind of looks up. He's got this very annoyed expression on his face, surprisingly, and he says, "When we're not with you, I'm guessing traveling through this Barovia, or whatever you call it, is essentially a life or death scenario, right?"
Oh, well. We Vistani have been granted safe passage by the devil Strahd, as the Barovians call him. So, we are always safe here. This is our home, in a way. As for you, when you're making your own way, I'm sure you are woodcrafty enough to go by safely. Although it is not advisable to travel the Svalich Woods at night.
While he's talking, Vidata's going to pull his little glowing orb down from his shoulder and sort of look into it for a moment. And I want to cast Druidcraft just to read the weather for the next 24 hours.
Cool. I don't think I have... Oh, actually, I do have. Okay, well, I can share the Barovian calendar with you guys. Which
I think you put the link into the Discord a while back.
I did?
Yeah. Barovian calendar is the last link in the cost links.
Well, there you
channel.
go. That probably shows the weather to you.
What's the date currently, I guess?
An excellent question. It's actually the second of the first moon.
As Vidata looks down at the orb, it kind of turns grey for a moment. Anyone who's looking over his shoulder would see it's essentially it looks like a crystal ball with light inside of it. It seems to be this cloud image that appears then disappears. Vidata throws the orb back onto his shoulder, where it sits there floating above him, and he just frowns and he says, Weather's boring, so let's hope the journey is too.
Alina will probably be looking at this crystal ball type object that he found with him, and she'll go, "You have yourself a moon as well?"
No, that's my son.
She seems really taken aback by that. She'll go, "You." I don't know
Doesn't
the biology
bite.
behind that.
Dahlia actually perks up when she hears that. Like, she's been looking down at the necklace and she hears that and she looks at him with like a great deal of interest and starts like inspecting it while trying to look like she's not inspecting it. So from behind, she'll kind of creep up and peer at it.
S-U-N or S-O-N?
S-O-N, he said that as in like son as in child.
Okay.
Does it look remarkable, or is it just a crystal ball?
It's a
Other than the
mote of
fact
light.
that it's floating.
It's a mote of light.
Yeah, it's like it looks like it's made out of pure light. It's about the size of child's skull, really. Seems to be made entirely of magical energy and has something floating inside of it. When Vidata held it, you could tell that it was physical and, corporeal. It looks to be made out of pure magic, whatever it is.
Did you kill him? She'll ask from behind.
How close are you?
She got pretty close. So she's just crept up behind you and asked if you
Can I
killed
roll
your son.
Can I roll to bitch slap her?
What?
Yes, you reach to do that, and the Stanimir's son, Ratka, kind of snaps his fingers, and a couple of the Vistani kind of grab onto you, Vidata. They kind of grab onto you, mostly looking concerned. It's actually 3 of them, mostly looking concerned, but one of them kind of has sort of a sly grin, who's like grabbing you from behind as you like look over your shoulder, and they're like preventing combat from breaking out. And Ratka says, "That's enough of that, folks. Load up." So you guys can go in the same wagon or separate wagons if you like.
As soon as they grab Vidata, he kind of sighs and looks over at Dahlia and just gives her this look. He says, "Oh, I didn't. Sorry, it's just a response."
Didn't mean to offend.
See,
Yeah, right.
nods and just he nods and just.
She's
gives her a slight
being
smile.
genuine. I mean, she just wanted to know.
Nova's going to be in a wagon that contains neither of them.
I think there are 3 wagons.
She'll probably be in the last one, just being a little bit of a creepy, like just hanging out with her new blade. She's really excited.
She begins attuning to the thing. Excellent.
Do all of our items require attunement?
I think so.
How do I read it again?
Can I look at somebody else's without stealing it?
Oh wait, Rin.
I didn't mean to steal it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do. I was afraid of doing it.
I was just trying to look.
I will load the images into the Discord so
Cool.
that you can check them out as handouts. In fact,
Okay,
why
you're
don't I
not
just
a
go
rogue,
ahead and
stop
do that
killing.
right now?
Also, is the deck still meant to be open on our screen?
What's supposed to be open?
Deck of magic treasure.
I mean, it's there. Just don't look at it.
But it says I
I
can
want
draw,
to.
and it's very tempting to hit that button.
Yeah, it's really tempting.
Well, I just had it out because in case Kata wanted to look at the other items, but we can do that anytime. All right. going to go ahead and try to load these items into the Discord. That's all of them except Vidata's, which is there.
I saved a picture of mine anyway.
Okay,
If
so
you-
now you can look at
if
each
you
other's. You can look at each other's items as well more easily.
If you want, you can drop the other items in there because Kata is going to attune, I'm pretty sure, after he like looked at it, and it's fine if everybody knows what was in there. So
Okay, cool. All right. Well, while you guys are doing that, well, okay. Okay, sure thing, Kata. So, how do I show that? Okay.
you don't have to do that now. It's like
Okay, I'll do it later. Where was I? I lost my place. Yes. Okay. So you guys get loaded into the wagons, splitting yourselves between the various wagons. You can nap. You can relax. They start taking off. About an hour later, Vidata, you are noticing that you have this sort of like a pain, or like not a pain, a bit of your one of Vidata. Does Vidata have those cool dreadlocks or cornrows like in the art?
Yeah, he's got pretty long dreadlocks.
Right,
Run
so
down to, like, the middle of his back.
So whoever's with Vidata, you notice that a bit of his cornrow, a bit of his hair is missing.
Vidata like notices this. He kind of turns his head and looks at his hair, and he just kind of frowns. And is it like a whole braid, or is it just part of it?
Just part of it. And it's not like it's torn out by the root or anything. It's like just a bit seems to have been cut off. It's actually a straight cut.
God like narrows his eyes. Seems to give this knowing look. And what was the name of the boy that was smirking at me again when he grabbed me?
You haven't caught his name.
Oh, crap. Whoever's in the cart with Vidata, you would just hear him kind of groan in anger, and he says, "I'm really starting to despise these Vistani people."
Go ahead and make an intelligence check.
Check.
Yep. Ooh. One of the person who grabbed you from behind and had that sort of sly grin is one of the same two people that you first noticed acted a little differently from the others in the very first time you met the Vistani. Seemed a little bit more okay with admitting to stealing.
Oh, are there any Vistani like in the carriage that I'm in at the moment?
The Vistani are, they're directing the wagons. Some of them are walking along. Some of them are occasionally breaking into chatter or music. And you guys are at this point well along. The dawn light is starting to come up.
As we are.
Sorry, I was just going to ask, who is with Vidata? Who wants to be with Vidata while this is happening?
Alina probably would be. She's never met someone who also has a attunement to the stars in the sky, so pretty
Cool.
interested.
Mavs would have been as well, I believe.
Well, anyone who's in the carriage, as you guys were sitting there, you begin to hear this whisper in the back of your mind. As I will telepathically.
Whoa.
That's oh, wrong thing. Telepathically, whisper in each of the heads of the people in the room. So that would be Mabs and Alina. The
Okay.
Vistani, we're traveling with appear not to be unified. I think there may be differences between them. Some of these people aren't as honest as the others.
I believe Mavs will just kind of accept what he says at face value, and he'll silently cast Detect Good and Evil. See if there's any differences in the people. Anything, any fiends or undead or anything in the mix.
Nothing of that nature pings back to you as you concentrate on it for several minutes, riding along the wagon. But you're all definitely feeling a bit weary after your adventures. So perhaps you're just tired, perhaps. But nobody is pinging back to you. You're not sensing any aberrations, celestials, elementals, fays, fiends, or undead as you travel along. Guys.
Got it.
Folks, okay. You come to a place where you hear, after about an hour or two of travel. Yes, exactly, Vedetta. After an hour or two of travel, you hear up ahead Damia, Stanimir's daughter, calling out, "We're at the gates!" And the wagons kind of bunch up and slow down. Each of you that's in a wagon is invited to poke your head out and take a look at what's going on.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have come to the gates of Barovia. One moment. Why isn't it? Ah, no? Aha! There we go. So, you poke your heads out of the wagons, and you can see the fog spilling out of the forest to swallow up the road behind you. Ahead, jutting from the impenetrable woods on both sides of the road, are high stone buttresses looming gray in the fog. Huge iron gates hang on the stonework. Dew clings with cold tenacity to the rusted bars. Two headless statues of armed guardians flank the gate, their heads now lying among the weeds at their feet. They greet you only with silence. As the lead wagon pulls up in front of the gates. There's a creaking sound, and of their own accord, the gates. The tremendous gates begin to open. Who is proficient with perception?
I am. Nova is.
I am as well. Abs.
Same with Kata.
I think
Okay.
Kira. I think Kira is.
Even though
Is
I
there
have the
a
highest
gray
wisdom,
dot?
I'm not.
Here, is there a gray dot next to the word perception on your list of skills?
Gray.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Or is it yellow?
It's. I mean, I'd call it green, but I'll trust you that it's gray.
Green.
Yeah, I was going to say, they should be green, May.
Well, mine are gray.
They look great to me. I think it's.
They look gray to me. I mean, I can kind of see that they're green. But only if I really glare at them.
Green to me, but color.
Well, anyone who has proficiency with perception, you catch the scent of death on the air. And you can kind of make out through the mist a lump. Looks a bit like a person, half buried in the underbrush, about 15 feet off to the side of the road. Some yards from the gate.
Body. Nova would actually probably climb out and walk along to get a look at what that is.
Okay, Nova. You exit the wagon as they pause and cluster up, waiting for the gate to fully open. The Vistani glance at you. They don't seem bothered by what you're doing. The human corpse is a young man. Appears to be a commoner. He has drab clothing, quite faded and dull-colored, very different from the Vistani, who, by the way, I think I couldn't find this handout last time, so there it is. That's them. This corpse looks more like... Oh, well, that's actually going to show you all their text, so don't read that, guys.
It doesn't show
it
me all
doesn't.
the text.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
all on the
does it show you
GM note.
text? Oh, good, 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 good. Well done. Well done, Roll20. Well done. This corpse looks more like one of these folks. This commoner, his muddy clothes are torn and raked with claw marks. Crows have been at the body, which is surrounded by paw prints. Clawed paw prints. The man has obviously been dead for several days. He holds a crumpled envelope in one hand.
Nova seems very at ease with this dead body. She's just kind of like, see what's up here. But she would, once spotting that, she'll take the envelope and then kind of examine. Would she be able, do these look similar to the paw prints of, the wolves that we just encountered, or something
Yes,
different?
they do.
Okay.
Except that there are a lot of paw prints that are huge.
So more like the direwolf.
More like the direwolf, but a lot of them.
Direwolf packs. That sounds like trouble. But she'll see just what's up with this envelope.
Okay. Is anyone else coming to see what Nova is doing with the corpse?
Yes,
Yeah.
Kira.
Desecrating this
well.
corpse.
You immediately feel that the parchment is worn and flimsy, slightly damp. You open and read it. It has a large B set into its wax seal, a large letter B. The letter is dated a week ago by the Barovian calendar. And it looks like this. Note that you should be able to view the plain text version. Would you like to read it out, Nova?
Sure. Hail thee of might and valor. I, the burgomaster of Barovia, send you honor with despair. My adopted daughter, the fair Irina Kolyana, has been these past nights bitten by a vampire. For over 400 years, this creature has drained the lifeblood of my people. Now my dear Irina languishes and dies from an unholy wound caused by this vile beast. He has become too powerful to conquer. So I say to you, give us up for dead and encircle this land with the symbol of good. Let holy men call upon their power, that the devil may be contained within the walls of weeping Barovia. Leave our sorrows to our graves and save the world from this evil fate of ours. There is much wealth entrapped in this community. Return for your reward after we are departed for a better life. Kolyan Indrovich.
I think it's Indorovich.
Indorovich, yes.
Thank you.
And this was dated a week ago. Nova, I think like Vedata has kind of like established himself as being kind of like the more like leader-like person of our group, so she probably would take it to Vedata and be like, I think things are worse here than we realize.
Vedata would have been approaching as he looks over at the corpse. He'll take a moment to look at it and then look up as she finishes reading the note, and he'll just nod and say, "A cursed land filled with cursed creatures. Dying through a vampire is a cruel way to go." Is the corpse's face still recognizable?
Yes. It hasn't been out here long enough to really be destroyed, and it's quite cold. It's quite cold. It is, of course, winter right now, so in Barovia.
He's gonna walk over to the corpse. If his eyes are still open, he's going to close them, and then he'll take a coin piece from his pouch and place it on the man's forehead. He'll just sort of frown and say, "Hopefully he finds the passage he needs. Let's hope we don't end up like this man."
Wonder who is this for?
Knowing how this land works, could be anyone. And considering we met the king, he kind of does air quotes, it may even be for us.
This bodes fascinating.
Okay. The Vistani have the gate completely open. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on.
Vedata will just very quickly sketch down the man's face on a piece of parchment and put it in his bag.
Okay. Absolutely. Go ahead and refresh your inspiration, Vedata. If you, although I think you already have some. But
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead and refresh it, or you would refresh it with the coin placement, and sending his soul to rest seems very appropriate. Okay. Folks, the Vistani usher you back to the wagons. And Radka mentions that the Barovian villagers sometimes try to send letters to the outside and it never goes well. Should have had a Vistana take it, he says.
But Arthur bites his tongue so he doesn't say anything mean.
Okay, that's hard for him. All right. Too many handouts open.
Nova is actually going to be like, she frowns and she's like, why are the Vistani and these people treated so differently?
To whom is she speaking?
Oh, to Stanimir, because she just had this realization, because like she had kind of thought that Barovia was just occupied by the Vistani, but now she's like, wait, this isn't the case.
He says, well, remember that story I told you of the Lord that my forebears helped?
So he favors you over his own people.
Well, I suppose we might be said to be his people too. Mine we?
Nova looks fairly judgmental, but leaves it at that.
Besides, only we have the secret potions that will allow one to leave Barovia.
And you do not share it with these other people, Dahlia.
Sure, we share it. For 25 gold pieces. Not the recipe, though. You understand.
Can I insight check that to see if he actually does sell it for that low?
He tried.
Sure.
He sold it to us. He sold it to us.
I
for that,
know,
actually.
but that was, we're not citizens of this place. I just don't know if they have that kind of out. How likely is it that they're that means that they're not trapped here.
Ah, I see.
Dahlia, all you can tell is that the price probably changes based on how much money he thinks you have.
Okay.
Okay. So you load back up in the wagons, unless you guys tell me differently. And without anyone doing anything, as you pass underneath the looming ruined gates, crumbling before your very eyes, the gates, the tremendous rusty gates creak themselves closed. Shutting firmly and loudly behind the last wagon, as though they'll never be opened again. You come to a turn in the road. As your travel continues, where you can see a kind of a vista of the Valley of Barovia, and Damia, Stanimir's daughter, comes up and points this stuff out to you. So you can start to actually see this land of Barovia. You guys can see that?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
All right.
Yup.
And I have, better yet, come on.
Oh, I thought it was a lot. It was a lot bigger than I thought it was.
It's actually a lot smaller than you think it is. There you go. That's what you see. So, you can see this vista as rolling thunderclouds cast a gray pall over the land of Barovia. A deathly stillness hangs over the dark woods, which are, you now know, patrolled constantly by Strahd's wolves and other servitors, perhaps. The evergreen trees of the Svalich Woods climb the sides of the mountains that enclose the valley. Damia begins pointing out these places to you. You have the largest of these peaks is Mount Baratok over here. Can you guys see that?
Yep, right at the top.
Cool.
Yep.
Mount Baratok, with its snow-covered cap and rugged slopes. Baratok's slightly smaller twin, which Roll20 isn't letting me scroll down to. Oh, because I have something selected that I don't want selected? Is that why? Perhaps. There we go. Mount Gacchus is on the other side of the valley, which has mostly bald with tufts of trees here and there. Between these two mountains stands Lake Zarovich, which is fed by streams of ice-cold water pouring down the face of Mount Baratok. On the south side of the lake, she tells you, rests the town of Valaki, enclosed by a palisade. There's the label Valaki. West of the two mountains, atop a hill, far in the distance, as the mist breaks for just a moment, you can barely make out, she tells you, the Abbey of St. Markovia, around which the Barovians built a walled village named Kreshk. Between Valaki and Kreshk lie the ruins of Argenvostholt, the fallen bastion of a knightly order called the Order of the Silver Dragon. East of the mountains, and closest to you of these villages, lies the village of Barovia. Right there. You guys are over here, by the way. For the recording later, for people watching this later, the players can't see all these wolves and things lying around. That's the village of Barovia, shrouded in mist and bereft of any walls. No walls around the village of Barovia or any other kind of defenses. The dark silhouette of Castle Ravenloft looks down on this village. From its perch atop a 1,000-foot-high column of rock known as the Pillar Stone of Ravenloft. So there you have it. Any questions? And I put a map into the handouts. No, it hasn't. It's not there yet. I'm putting a version of this map into the handouts. There you go. Any questions about this as your characters look out from the Svalich Vista?
Not a question, but Vedata will say as we're looking around, he points over at the village of Barovia, and he looks to the group and he says, "That is where our journey starts." Then his hand slowly goes up to the castle. That is where it ends.
I'd rather our journey does not end here at all, frankly.
Hopefully he means end as we get out of here. Hopefully. Right?
He shrugs either way.
Okay. Any questions about the map that I can answer for you guys right now? Or should we move on?
Oh, I was about to ask for the key, but it's down in the corner, and I did not see it.
Yes.
I got it now.
It's really quite a small valley. You can from this vantage point see when there's a break in the mist, which is rare. You can see almost all the way across it.
Oh, it's so tiny. Cute.
But the whole thing is walled in this impenetrable mist, in which there is never a break. Vedata, you are overheard by Stanimir, who says, "Well, our current destination is just past the village of Barovia. There's a camp at the Tser Pool.
You had to go and make a fool of me, Stanmir.
He chuckles. Okay. Well, after pointing all of this out to you guys, and you can pore over the map later if you like, and ask more questions in the Discord if you like, they will be moving on, plunging once more into the ever-present mist and thick trees. Every now and then you hear the distant howl of a wolf. Ooh. Muffled slightly by both the forest, the Svalich Woods, and by the mist, the ever-present mist. You have a few more hours of journeying. The old Svalich Road will eventually take you to the village of Barovia, but there's a few hours before then. The Vistani are a little more friendly, more engaging. They seem more relaxed in this strange place. And when you're traveling with them, you feel like the music that they play and just their manner, really, their laughter, their somewhat drunken smiles, almost feels like a kind of a bubble around you. No howls of wolves come too close. The creatures of the forest all around you and the creaking of the trees are quieter. Swear to God. And roll 20. Why are you doing this to me?
Something I used to say on the daily.
Kira wants to know if there was anything she needed to do to start the attunement process with her magical ring.
She just has to... I mean, you can come up with a way that she would do it personally, but really you just need to spend an hour with it.
All right.
Doing something.
While we're
Doing
on these types of questions, is this going to count as a rest, short or long? The travel that we do?
It will count as a long rest. These wagons have a smoother ride than any you've ever ridden in previously. And they're quite
what-
noisy inside.
Go on.
I just want to know, do I need to like attune, then take a long rest? Is
No.
there? No. Very,
Once you attune, you're attuned. I mean, you do need to wear the ring in order to use it.
Right.
I'm sure that's not a surprise.
right.
But
I just see that once per long rest, I can turn invisible.
Oh, I see what you mean. That means you need to have a long rest before you can use the ability again.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you.
Great.
If anyone is in the third wagon with Nova, Nova's way of attuning with this sword is literally like she spills her own blood on it.
That makes perfect sense to me.
So if anyone's in there, that happens.
I'm assuming Kata is in there because he would have chosen the last wagon because he's gonna make a lot of noise. There's like... He has to fix his own stuff. He has like this thing to tinker with, and so he'll be busy all night, so to speak. So the long rest he's taking is basically spent fidgeting with stuff and repairing and hammering at things, and it's gonna be somewhat noisy and annoying for you, but he's probably not gonna notice what you do.
Kira would be in a different wagon from him then because she wants to be able to overhear if anything interesting is happening outside of the wagons or inside. And so she wouldn't want to be somewhere where there's a lot of noise.
Got it.
This is like carpooling musical chairs. I love it.
Totally. Okay. So, you continue traveling. And it's a pleasant experience. The Vistani are more engaging and friendly than they were before, outside of Barovia. They feel more comfortable here. And if you feel as a player that your character has established a friendship of some kind with one or more Vistani, then during this journey you can ask for information from them. They'll be a little bit more forthcoming than before. 3 topics that you could ask about are their beliefs and superstitions, which you've heard a little bit about before, the land of Barovia, or Strahd von Zarovich.
Hello. Alina would ask the try and find a young girl, maybe, and see if she can tell her anything about Strahd. As much as she can. Be like, what do you know about this Strahd character?
Mavs would be along with her asking the same questions because he's interested about the man on the fiery horse.
We don't let
Well,
Strahd here.
you are told that Strahd comes from a royal bloodline. He died centuries ago, yet endures as one of the undead, feasting on the blood of the living. Barovians refer to him as the Devil Strahd.
She will ask because why do you call him the devil? Quite a name.
The girl looks thoughtful and she says, Madam Eva would know.
Is that what you're supposed to say when you're not supposed to answer any of our questions?
Mavs walks away in disgust after hearing the phrase again.
The girl shrugs and says, I think it's just because they're afraid of him.
Okay. And have you ever seen this man?
The king?
Yeah.
Yes, I've seen him.
Frequently? I can hear myself this morning.
No, not frequently. But every now and then he rides around or shows up to do stuff. She kind of shrugs at herself at her own usage of the word stuff. Does anybody else want to ask, feel that their character has established a friendship? Do you want to ask any information, or should we move on?
Kira wants to ask about the land. She's not sure anyone will answer, but Kira's wants to know about, the roads, the layouts.
Okay. Do you feel that Kira's established a friendship with any of the Vistani?
Kira thinks she's tried, but she's not sure if she's managed to be friendly enough. She's more of quietly sort of stalked around.
Okay. Well, they'll tell Kira that Strahd conquered this land centuries ago and named it after his father, King Barovia. And there are all manner of creatures that spy on all parts of his realm. Wolves, bats, and other things. The old Svalich road runs throughout the region. And they'll tell you basically where it goes. You can actually see it as a red line on this map. Okay. Does anybody else want to ask any questions on those topics before we get to the village?
Really?
Okay. In that case...
I'm sorry, I was muted. We're attuned to our items by now, right?
Let's say that it's a couple of hours later, and indeed you are.
Okay. Pretty much from the get-go, as soon as they resettled into the Vistani caravan, Dahlia would have pulled out her Taraka deck and just started attuning to, getting the feel for the energy of the necklace. And the way that it influences her reading. And once she is attuned, she will actually use 3 charges of the necklace and cast Legend Lore.
She's going to immediately use it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, she has questions, but she's a creep. She's not friendly. So she doesn't have any friends to ask questions except for her deck of cards. So she will do a Taraka reading and cast Legend Lore regarding Strahd von Zavrich.
Zarovich.
Zarovich, I don't know. I gave it my best shot.
It was a good shot. Okay. Okay, she's going to do that. Well, I hate to say this, but do you want to do... I think that might interrupt her long rest. So if you want her to have a long rest, then you might want to wait on that a little bit.
Okay, she'll wait.
Okay.
And do it later.
Thank you. All right.
Yes.
Excellent.
Can Nova do one thing?
Okay.
If possible. Okay, so Nova isn't good at making friends. She's definitely intense, kind of creepy, that kind of thing. But she is very good at like compelling compassion among randos. So maybe she's not very friendly with these people, but she would want to she kind of wants to get a better understanding of like what the Vistani actually believe regarding Strahd, because like they seem very like she had already talked to them once about like the ravens carrying souls and that kind of thing, and like she's getting like vibes, and she kind of wants to see what that like she wants to understand that relationship beyond just like, oh, we're his favorite people because we saved him once.
Well, so you're asking to know a little bit more about the man?
Yes, but kind of in like a specific, like not necessarily him as a person, but more how they perceive him in regards to like their relationship with like the forces of nature and that kind of, I don't know, like not necessarily like it's not a character assessment of him is I guess what she's looking for.
Well, in terms of relationships, Strahd has taken many consorts, you are told. But he has only known one true love, a Barovian peasant girl named Tatiana.
Tatiana, okay.
But the Vistana that you're talking to says nobody knows what happened to her.
Okay, so so it was a Barovian girl, not a Vistani. No.
Correct. His
Okay.
one true love, yes.
Okay, and how? Because she's thinking back to this letter that she read. How long ago, like when was Tatiana like last seen or whatever? Like what time was this? She's kind of confused at like how long this has been going on.
Long ago, you're told.
Enlightening.
Long ago. They do tend to speak in riddles.
So I mean, like Nova, like every time, like she gets like she's got her great sword just like at her side, and she's like just kind of like fingering the hilt, like getting a feel for it, and like every time they like do this to her, she's like, turning a new leaf. We're turning a new leaf. Okay, Tatiana.
Okay. So... you are now approaching the village. Hopefully you can only see the image here.
Yeah, we can only see the image.
Yep, no, only the image.
Tall shapes loom out of the dense fog that surrounds everything. The muddy ground underfoot gives way to slick, wet cobblestones. The tall shapes become recognizable, slowly, as village dwellings. The windows of each house stare out from pools of blackness. Few sounds cut the silence, except for mournful sobbing that echoes through the streets from a distance. There are people that you occasionally see peering out of windows fearfully. And as you are coming up to the edge of the village, there's a couple of folks who are recognizable as Vistani, wearing colorful clothes, kind of laughing and talking loudly. They give a wave to Stanimir in the lead wagon, and then head off to the north, actually to the south, where you can see the river. It was called the Ivlis River. Clear, cold-looking stream, the color of the gray winter sky above. So, you are now at the village of Barovia. The atmosphere here, I mean, you can just ride right in on the wagons. It's totally exposed to the great tower of the castle looming 1,000 feet overhead, casting a literal and figurative shadow over the village. And you begin rolling on through. This sobbing sound echoes through the streets, the mostly empty streets. And the whole place is just... It feels like there's people in the houses. There's people occasionally seen darting from house to house in the distance. And they all have that sort of drab, plain sort of look about them. I'm sorry for interrupting. Who was speaking?
Oh, yeah, it's, is this sobbing sound, is it just like a blanket noise, or like, as we go through the village, do we feel like we can figure out, like, where that is coming from?
Yeah, it's some ways off. It's some ways off, but it sounds like a woman just sobbing inconsolably.
Creepy.
Yes, it's a specific. It's coming from a particular house off of the main road that you are currently riding down.
Does anyone else in the caravan appear to react to this crying?
The Vistani are looking around. They don't particularly seem interested in stopping here. They have a concerned look on their faces. the way you might if you heard someone screaming and crying. Or if... they certainly aren't like these people. The native Barovians. And they, there's a certain atmosphere of noticing that things are different for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you say if this crying sounds like a child? Sorry.
No, it sounds like a woman.
A woman. Alina will actually hail for her carriage in particular to stop. I'm not sure which one she'd be in, relative to the front, but she'd go.
Okay.
I don't care about you, but I'm checking that crying out.
Stanimir looks over and he says, this is not a good place to stop right now.
Why would you not stop for a crying woman? She could be in danger. Could be getting hurt.
He'll look up and down the wagon train. He says, "Do you speak for all of the supernal stars?"
She will look at Vedetta and be like, "Please." She's in the carriage with Vedetta and Mabsai, I do believe.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I had a mic issue. Vedetta gives you this somber look for a moment. Don't trust this place. I have a feeling that crying is just an illusion. Something to draw us into a trap. We need to rest first, and then we can look for it. If it continues.
I don't want her to be alone if she's getting hurt.
And if it is somebody in trouble, I'm sure we can find them and help them. But if it isn't, Kenna looks across at the carriage for a moment. We could be putting ourselves in danger for no reason.
Stanimir says,
We're told... Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
He says, we've already been told and we've already seen this land is filled with vampires and cursed wolves. A crying woman could be the sign of some other kind of spectre or ghoul. Like a ghost or a ghast. We need to be cautious. Extremely cautious.
Nova kind of pipes up and she looks, if anyone's looking directly at her, like her eyes look just slightly off, and she's like, the crying of pain and the crying of sadness sound very different. I think we should let them be for now.
Yeah, is it a cry of sadness? Do they sound like they're in pain, or is it just like emotional pain?
It sounds like grief.
He'll nod at that.
You know what? Alright. It's like...
Emotional pain.
Vedata will kind of like put his hand on your shoulder though, Alina. He kind of smiles. He says, I can tell this means a lot to you. I promise you once we've found a place to rest, we'll go and investigate. But for now, we should leave them be.
Okay. I don't take kindly to broken promises though. But she will smile as she says that. She doesn't mean it in an aggressive way.
Mm-hmm. He takes it well and just gives you a small smile.
Okay. That crying is coming from a house, a boarded up house about 40 feet from the main square that you are now coming up on. And there's also here in the square is Bildrath's Mercantile, the Blood of the Vine Tavern, which some of the Vistani look like they're kind of looking at it, licking their lips like they'd like to actually visit the tavern. And there's a couple of these drab-looking Barovians coming in and out of there. And there's also the largest building in the village is there's a weary-looking mansion that one of the Vistana points out as the Burgomaster's mansion. There's also a church off a little away from the village that, as you start to reach the other side of the square, you can see. With an attached cemetery. Now, when you start to get to the other side of the village, the sobbing sound is a little bit more in the distance now. You hear a different sound. The sound of small wooden wheels rolling across damp cobbles, clattering. You trace the lonely sound to a hunched figure bundled in rags, pushing a rickety wooden cart through the fog. And from within the bundle of rags, you hear, "Dream pastries for sale! Dream pastries!" Every now and then, you see a face appear at a boarded up window, looking down as if tempted. As the wagons come trundling by, the person from within the rags looks up.
Did you say dream pastries? And she'll
You
look
guys
down
see that?
Ooh.
Yeah, we do.
All right, you should be able to zoom into that. And
No, you shouldn't.
It's she is particularly creepy looking in this creepy and extremely depressed feeling place. But she cracks a grin and she says, "I know the Vistana will not be interested in my dream pastries." She turns her cart and starts trundling away from the main road where you guys are riding along. Stanimir waves his hand. "Not for us, no."
What did they do?
They let the Barovians forget their miserable existence for a time.
How much are they? And she'll shout after the woman.
She looks over her shoulder, but she's hustling away with her cart. And the only answer you get is a cackle.
Oh. It seems like she doesn't want my gold piece.
It's never a good idea to forget grief. It makes us who we are. no matter how strong it is.
Maybe you. Maybe you, buddy. No, she won't call him buddy. Should call him darling. I experiencing the pleasures of the land, I guess. Understanding what they're going through. Seems character building, I think.
I don't think we're here for pleasure, unfortunately.
Maybe not.
You ride on out of the village, leaving all of that depressed feeling behind. Well, I shouldn't say all of it, but the village is particularly has an atmosphere of depression and fear. And you trundle over this bridge, and the river with the wagons making a hollow sound as they pass along. Here, it's quite a large bridge, actually. The river is 50 feet wide and pretty deep. And you can kind of see the reflection of the sky as you glance out the wagons when you're going dunk, 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 dunk over the bridge. After another hour or two of travel, you are going to come to these crossroads. And you again have that feeling that you're in a bubble of joy, joie de vivre, as you travel with the Vistani, because it takes a moment before you really notice, as you come around the bend, once again entering the trees of the Svalich Woods, the gallows at the crossroads. An old wooden gallows that creaks in a chill wind that blows down from the high ground to the west. A frayed length of rope dances from its beam. The well-worn road splits here, and a signpost opposite the gallows points off in three directions. It says Barovia Village to the east, where you've just come from. It says Ser Pool, T-S-E-R, Ser Pool to the northwest. And Ravenloft / Valaki to the southwest. The northwest fork slants down and disappears into the trees, while the southwest fork clings to an upward slope on the foothills of Mount Gacchus. Across from the gallows, a low wall, crumbling in places, partially encloses a small plot of graves shrouded in fog. Your train of wagons takes the right-hand fork. And as your wagons turn and begin trundling down toward where you've been told that Ser Pool lies, you hear a creaking noise from behind you, from the gallows. I need everyone, except for the person who has a luck charm, to roll a D100, please.
That's not
that's
honest at all.
Ha ha ha, luck charm. Ooh, someone rolled 100.
Dang.
I think I did it wrong. My
A
bad.
98. No, you did it. You got it.
No, I think I rolled it twice. That's why I had it. That's why I have a 186.
It's fine.
did
Just
it.
take the 88.
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Okay. A rare 100 is rolled.
It did indeed happen.
What a 1 in a 100 experience.
Yes.
Um,
Okay. Interesting. Did everybody roll, or did anyone not roll, I should ask? Okay.
I didn't, but I have the charm.
I feel like we are missing.
So, you all look over your shoulder. What? Did somebody not roll? Other
Definitely
than
roll.
the luck charm?
I didn't, but I have the luck charm.
I think didn't scroll. Never mind. I'm dumb.
Okay. So you all look over your shoulder as you hear that sudden creaking sound. Where there was nothing on the gallows, now hangs a lifeless, gray body. The breeze turns the hanged figure slowly so that it can fix its dead eyes on you. Mavs. Everyone besides Mavs sees this corpse in the drab clothing of an unfamiliar Barovian. Mavs, you see a turtle. You see yourself hanging from the gallows.
I think Mavs would be rather shocked, and he would probably say, "Does anybody else see that?"
The dead body.
He's just kind of like rubbing his eyes. He's doesn't really know. He's kind of like awestruck a little bit. He doesn't really want to say what he's seeing because it's a little hard to believe himself. He's like the turtle hanging? No.
It's a dead body, Max. I promise. It's not you. It's not a turtle. Okay? And she kind of puts her hand on his shoulder like, your mind is going to play tricks on you here. Don't worry. I'll be here to help. If you need it.
He kind of bows his head a little bit and kind of keeps eyeing over to it. He's a little it's a little disconcerting seeing it, so he's kind of like on edge.
Alina will kind of try and situate herself maybe in the way of it. Try to stop him looking.
Nova. You see this corpse of an unfamiliar Barovian is clutching a deck of Taroka cards in its teeth.
Like a whole deck?
Yeah, like it was stuffed in there.
Nova's going to just hold a hand out to the others and be like, I want a closer look.
Okay.
And unless someone absolutely throws her to the ground, Nova's going to start heading towards the hanged one.
The Vistani aren't going fast enough that you couldn't catch up with them, so they slow a little, but they continue on. You climb up on the creaking gallows.
She's just going to, again, like, if anyone is going to be like keeping an eye on her, like, but she's got her sword out and she's just gonna approach.
Yeah.
So the body is hanging there, creaking. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, Dahlia would get off of the cart and just kind of wait nearby, just in case, but she won't follow.
Okay.
Mavs would be a little shocked seeing her run towards it, and he'd kind of be like, "I'm right here. That's not me."
Poor man. Nova turns around and is like, I know it's not you. And then turns back. Like, she's very, like, German Shepherd come to claim a piece of prey or something like that.
Right. So you want to kind of, like, go and examine the corpse?
I think she might want to just take the deck.
Okay. So
Well, she'll examine first, but, like, that is the intention of, like... Because it seems like we didn't notice this body before, like, so, like, she kind of wants to see what's up, and if it's possibly still somehow alive, and then if not, like, she wants to try and take that deck.
So as you're examining it, the breeze blows the body so that the ankle brushes against you. And at your touch, it melts away. Mavs, you see your own hanged corpse. Neck all stretched out from the shell with a rope around it. It's melting away. Nova, you see as the corpse's head melts away into smoke, the Taroka deck falls out and the cards flutter over to the graves that surround they're near the gallows, and there they melt away into smoke. Meanwhile, the Vistani continue riding on, looking over back at you guys.
When they floated over to the particular graves, was she able to spot, like, if any specific cards had, like, flipped up, like, had been visible, like, over specific graves?
The cards looked blank when they fluttered over the graves. And there, we are going to take a 5-minute break. So, folks, use the facilities, do whatever you need to do. Cool. I'm going to try to keep this as close to 5 minutes as possible. So I will see you back here.
I've just ordered my pizza.
You do that?
Oh,
all right.
Late night pizza. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, see you in a moment.
Okay. And we are back. Okay, folks. So, at this moment, you have just had a creepy experience at the crossroads here. And a body appeared and then melted away when touched by Nova. Now, two of you saw some different things. And they may have been disturbing or interesting, depending on your perspective. But Mavs, the next time that you bargain with the dark powers, the effect will be stronger.
Got it.
As this deeply disturbing experience settles into your mind and your soul. Okay. Would you guys like to rejoin the wagons and make it to the Sarah Pool? At this point, the sun behind the clouds is setting. You have these short, wintry days.
Yeah, I think Nova would want to rejoin. Like, really quick, do these, like, tombstones and stuff, do they have names on them?
They are blank.
Okay. Yeah, if they're blank, she'll rejoin. Just be like, this place is very haunted.
Dahlia will nod in agreement as she joins Nova and kind of helps her back into the carriage that they were sharing and say, yes, I quite think so.
Mavs, can you write on your character sheet the hanged one in the same area that you've got the potential to track corruption?
Sure.
Thank you. That will remind us. Okay. Unless there is anything else, you guys hop back on the wagons, and as the sun is starting to set, you are trundling down toward the pool. The road gradually disappears and is replaced by a twisted, muddy path through the trees. Deep ruts in the earth are evidence of the comings and goings of wagons. The canopy of mist and branches suddenly gives way to black clouds boiling far above. There is a clearing here, next to the river that widens to form a small lake, several hundred feet across. 5 colorful, round tents, each 10 feet in diameter, are pitched outside a ring of 4 barrel-topped wagons. A much larger tent stands near the shore of the lake, its sagging form lit from within. Near this tent, 8 unbridled horses drink from the river. Are you guys seeing that? Or do you see blank?
It's just
Blank
black
so
for me.
far.
Blank.
Blank.
So blank.
Okay. That's alright. We'll fix that in a minute. The mournful strains of an accordion clash with the singing of several brightly clad figures around a bonfire. A footpath continues beyond this encampment, meandering north between the river and the forest's edge. Alright, let me make sure that you guys can actually see. One moment, please. Okay, I'm going to put your characters on first.
Yeah, that's probably what's preventing us from seeing stuff, right?
Yeah, probably. There we go. Okay. Why didn't that work? There's Alina. Alina, you can probably see in the dark here.
Yes.
Dahlia. So, for anyone looking, I'm looking from the character's perspective. She can see all that. Actually, I guess, Dahlia, you can see too. Okay, yes. So...
Kira would pull out her ever flaming candle.
It looks like there's a really strong light somewhere nearby.
It's daylight,
Okay.
and the blackness is the area that you can't see.
Yep.
But honestly, I think this is a little silly, so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the oh boy, and turn off the fog of war. How's that?
There we go.
There we go. So, as I was
Are horses always that big?
are horses always that big? Yes, actually, they technically take up that much space in a combat situation.
It looks like this, like they're giant.
I know. In good old 3rd edition, they should have taken up that area.
I bet. Yeah.
But
we
good old 3.0.
we don't do that no more.
Exactly. All right. So, one moment while I select something here. All right. There we go. So the wagons that you've been riding in pull up, and the Vistani on the wagons and the Vistani in the camp wave to each other and greet one another warmly. There are 12 people just hanging around this bonfire in the evening light. They're loudly telling stories, guzzling wine. You actually heard them before you saw them. And they are kind of looking over at you guys, and they kind of smile, sly smiles. They are telling each other jokes. Stanimir starts joking around with them, saying, "You know, what are you doing here?" And pretending that. And they come and they check the wagons, and wine starts being passed and back and forth, and there's just this kind of a rush of greetings. People are hugging each other, and breaking into song. And someone pulls out an accordion and starts playing it. And Stanimir, before he grabs a wineskin and heads to the bonfire, gestures to you guys and toward the largest tent. He says, "Well now, It's been a pleasure. And he bows politely, then grabs his wineskin and heads to the bonfire. Okay. So what would you guys like to do?
Alina is going to grab Mavs and go, Madam Eva?
Mavs is already way ahead of her here. He's heading on over.
It's like I read your mind.
Okay. So you guys just make a beeline for, you folks make a beeline for the largest tent, Madam Eva's tent.
Kira's going to be a little more cautious, and she's going to kind of follow, but stealthily. She's trying to sort of hide behind things, while everyone else is just apparently just stomping, going straight down the road. She's going to try to like find some coverage as she moves over.
Okay, gotcha. So you kind of slip into the camp.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are walking in, the Vistani, a couple of them are pointing you out and whispering to each other. Some of them are smiling. You hear them muttering, Madam Eva foretold they're coming. She's been waiting for them. And others are kind of muttering more quietly and whispering with sly smiles. Mavs, do you have 0 HP?
I do not.
Something
I don't know why
went
it's
wrong there.
Yeah, maybe I don't know.
You guys have had the benefit of a long rest at this point. With
Hell
the
yeah.
Ride in the wagon. So you are now rested.
Love to see it.
So let me explain what that means. You regain your spell slots. You regain all your damaged HP. And you regain 1 hit die. So if you've spent any hit dice, you regain 1 of those. Any questions about that? Great. Okay. So some of the Vistani are muttering some kind words. Others have kind of these sly smiles. So you get closer to the tent.
I think someone has 2 tokens, or is that just me?
It's on there twice, I just noticed.
There's 2 Novas.
There are 2 Novas.
That shouldn't happen yet.
Huh. Very true.
For a brief moment, you see a second Nova, and then she disappears.
This old lady, this crone, pokes her head out of the largest tent, and she looks, lit by the bonfire, she looks absolutely wild. And she says, come on already. Come on.
As Alina is with Mavs, she's like, do you want to go and see that woman?
Mavs just kind of opens the thing and it just says, who are you and where do you get off?
Who are you talking to?
The, Madam. He's upset about the fact that she doesn't tell anybody anything and they tell them to come to her.
She laughs, just absolutely laughs, this high-pitched laugh at that, and just waves you inside, entering herself.
I have a feeling we don't all fit into the tent.
This area is
token-wise.
It's bigger on the inside.
Could Kira choose to hide outside of the tent because she doesn't trust what's happening?
Sure.
Alright. And Kira's gonna regret this, maybe, but Kira is going to try to hide outside of the tent because everything seems just a little bit too suspicious and a little bit weird.
So while most of you are going inside, Kira is hanging around just outside the tent flaps. All right. Within, Madam Eva takes on quite a different aspect. A more inwardly focused expression. And she has a small wooden box inlaid with the image of a Tarot card. Magic flames cast a reddish glow over the interior of this tent, revealing a low table covered by a cloth and lit by a pair of candles. Glints of light seem to flash from a crystal ball on the table as her hunched figure peers into its depths. When the crone speaks, as most of you enter, her voice crackles like dry weeds. At last you have arrived. And cackling laughter bursts like mad lightning from her withered lips.
What do you want?
She has a distinctly different accent from all the other Vistani you've encountered. What do I want? I'm sorry, who just spoke?
Lena.
Alina. Welcome. It was Alina, right?
Yeah, sorry, she's in the tent.
Alina, welcome. Try not to get obsessed, dear. And watch those knives. 10th time's the charm, eh? Kata.
She's gonna walk out the tent. She's gonna go and squat with
Kata, the undecided, and the true heir to the long-gone man that makes men. Welcome. Mavs, the storyteller. You stumbled right into one of your petty dreadfuls. Just don't make this one a bodice ripper. Or do. Your last book was wonderfully racy. Kira! You didn't come in, Kira!
Good. I'm good. I prefer the fresh air.
Hey, Kira, welcome. Don't worry. Ricardo's not here.
Kira, now extra freak out, is definitely not planning to enter that tent unless she really has to.
Yeah, Lena will shake her head like, she reads minds, she reads minds.
Oh, Vedata. Such a shame Patrina never told you about her people. Or yours. She looks at the mote of light that hovers near Vedata. And hello there, little Lumina.
Vedata has a very neutral expression looking at her. He kind of stares her in the eyes and says, "Can we get this over with?"
Dahlia. Welcome. Soraya's daughter, sought by princes, always welcome in my home. Just don't do any funny business with my wine, eh?
Dahlia will look at her Taraka deck and say, "Did you learn them from those?"
You superb Colonel Stars, did you like my gifts? Did you like my gifts?
Kata does not, but he's confused about all the attention in the air and doesn't want to speak up.
Would you like to have your fortune read?
Mavs would just kind of walk up and be like, I don't need my fortune told. He walks up with like a checklist and starts pointing at it. He's, you got a lot of questions to answer. And he puts it down and goes, who's the guy on the fiery horse? How doesn't he get burned? I want to know more about Strahd.
Oh, the boy on the horse. The horse, yes. You think of Bocephalus as a horse? No. You would do well to come into Madam Eva's tent, yes? And hear your fortune. To learn things that might help you in this dark land.
So is that what you are, Madam Eva? A fortune teller? Charlatan?
Kata takes a step forward and says, I'll go first.
I will tell all of your fortunes. But you must come into my tent. Now, I will say, those of you who are watching this later, if you guys are players watching this later, there's going to be a portion of this where you should not peek at the recording. Because it'll show you a little too much of the sausage being made. But that's okay. And that's all. I'll let you know when it's a problem and when you should look back.
No problem.
So, will you accept my gifts? Will you come and have your fortunes read?
Do you not have anything
actually-
creepy to say to me?
I'm sorry, who did I miss?
Nova is standing there with this beastly sword that she was gifted by Madam Eva, and like her pupils have like slitted slightly.
Yes.
It's rude to forget your guests.
Oh my god. What? Oh. Yes. It's here. She looks at Nova. Forget you? She's just laughing at you, Nova. Hello, Ellie. She looks over Nova's shoulder. Hello, mongrel. Ellie, dear, that brother of yours loves you so. I heard him say so just last moon. But I don't know why you think that's so creepy.
Agree with that. That's less creepy.
She's talking. Just making sure you guys can hear me because I've moved.
I hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I'm downstairs now. So, Vedato will kind of reach into his bag and he'll take out the lens and hold it out to her. You can't bribe me. Take this back.
You take out the letter?
Lens,
Oh,
the telescope lens.
She doesn't reach out for it. don't want my gifts?
No, I don't.
And you don't want
I
your
read this-
fortunes read?
I'll let you read my fortune, but I don't want a sad reminder. I have enough of those. Thank you.
Mavs would refuse. He's like, I'd write my books from start to finish. I don't start with the end.
Well, that's a shame. But if you don't want my help,
Dahlia will put her hand out to the others and say, now, if you refuse, the rest of us don't get to hear our fortunes, and some of us do want to. Is that what I'm understanding? You need all of us?
well, I suppose that is up to you.
Is it the fortune of each of us or of the supernal stars?
All of you. All of you will have your fates decided. One way or another. But I'm not going to force anything on you. I am no charlatan. Some Vistani women are blessed with the gift of prescience.
Alina will walk back into the tent. She's been peeking outside since that was brought up, and goes, as long as my fortune doesn't contain my dastardly ex-husband, I will hear it.
No more mention of him.
Kira will also walk into the tent. She's not committed to having her fortune read, but she kind of wants to know what's happening with everyone.
Okay.
Kata's kind of waiting for the rest to get their minds. He's like first in line, and like, people, get this over with. I want to know more.
Okay.
Kata's gonna walk over. Kata, fucking wrong player here. Sorry if you guys can hear the birds. By the way, I can't shut them up. They refuse to shut up.
Very, very faintly, not really at all.
Vidata's gonna walk over to Mavs.
Okay.
He's gonna kind of give him a very caring look. How old does Mavs look?
I mean, it's hard to tell, but from the way he's conducting himself, he could be like someone's apprentice. Like,
I think he's asking about Mavs, not Kata.
nah, he went for Kata first, and then he said,
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
assuming,
I mean, both of them.
Okay.
Mavs is older, I think.
Yeah, he's looks like a slightly crustier turtle.
Vidata's gonna come over to Mavs and sort of give him a very caring look, and he says, Mavs, do you have children?
Not yet.
I know you don't want to hear your fortune. As a father, I'll tell you now. If there was a way I would have known the life I would have led, my son might still be alive. Don't be scared of hearing your fortune. Your actions can always change it anyway. It's a good way of guessing where your life is heading.
Mavs will kind of let out a big sigh and just be like, if it was... He's like, he doesn't really want to give Madam Eva anything since she's been just nothing but cryptic to him. So he's just kind of like lets out a big sigh and he's like, "Oh, okay."
I don't know if you believe in the same things as me, Mabs. Even if she does write her stories in the cards, stars remain unwritten until they're formed. She can't predict everything. She's a liar and a charlatan if she says she can. Just keep that in mind.
I can tell you where far greater gifts are hidden, if you want. Or maybe you will just end up like the others.
So we aren't the first people you've brought here, then?
So, will you stay for the reading of the cards now? She holds up this wooden box and opens it. And starts pulling out a sort of a deck of Taroka cards wrapped in a silk cloth.
I'm going to look to Mabs and just say to him, "You sure you want to do this, Mabs? Up to you."
Mavs will just kind of close his book. Just like, if this is gonna push us forward, then I'm all for it.
He gives him a slight nod and says, "You've earned my respect, Thortal. Thank you for doing this with us."
She takes out the deck of Taroka cards, well worn. The corners nicked and rubbed. And she splits the cards into 2 decks. And she shuffles the cards. And when she does that, they kind of float over the surface of the table. Shuffles them back together. I will lay out the cards, and you can decide. Once she's done shuffling, she holds out the deck. And each of the 2 decks, and says, each one of you tap the deck of cards. So she holds them out to Alina.
Oh, okay. Do I pick one now?
No, touch the cards.
Okay. And she'll run her hands across a few of them.
She holds it out to Dahlia. Touch the cards.
We'll gently place her hand against the top of the deck.
Good, good. Kata, come here. Touch the cards.
Kata will take a step forward and gingerly press the top of the tip of his finger, trying to not scratch it with a claw, onto each of the decks. And then he takes a step back.
Mavs, come, touch my Taroka cards.
Mavs will just tap it with his writing utensil.
That will do. Nova, touch the cards.
Nova reaches her hand out and hovers over for a moment and asks Madam Eva, she's like, am I the only one touching these cards of the two of us? Can you tell?
Come on, Ellie. Come on, Ellie.
She places her hand on the cards.
Good, good. Vedetta, touch the cards.
Well, he uses his staff as a walking cane, so he's going to touch the top of the cards with the top of his staff.
That will do. Did I have Kira touch the cards?
No.
Kira, you touch the cards.
Kira says, I said I'd stay, not that I want to have my fortune read. She doesn't approach.
Ah, well. All right then. She splits the decks into 2 piles, shuffles each one individually, cuts them, and looking around at you all, you guys can see the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, and the 2 decks.
All right. This is, she takes a card and she places it down on the table. You guys see the card?
Yep.
She says, I draw from the common deck now. She lays it over on the left-hand side of the table there. This card tells of history. Knowledge of the ancient will help you better understand your enemy. She takes the card in her fingers and flips it. The druid. An evil tree grows atop a hill of graves where the ancient dead sleep. This card tells me the ravens can help you find it. Look for the treasure there. She draws another card, again from the common deck. This card tells of a powerful force for good and protection. A holy symbol of great hope. She flips the card over. Conjurer. I see a dead village, drowned by a river, ruled by one who has brought great evil into the world. Again, I draw from the common deck of Tarot cards. This Over here is a card of power and strength. It tells of a weapon of vengeance, a sword of sunlight. She flips the card over. Beggar. A wounded elf has what you seek. He will part with the treasure to see his dark dreams fulfilled. Now, for the southern card, I draw from the high deck of Taroka cards. This card sheds light on one who will help you greatly in the battle against darkness. The Executioner. Seek out the brother of the Devil's Bride. They call him the Lesser, but he has a powerful soul. The last card I draw from the high deck. Your enemy is a creature of darkness whose powers are beyond mortality. This card will lead you to him. She pauses a moment before she flips this card over as well. The Tempter. I see a secret place. A vault of temptation. Hidden. Yes, hidden behind a woman of great beauty. The evil waits atop his tower of treasure. She looks down at all the cards. That is your fate. Good luck to all of you. And she brushes the cards aside. Goodbye. Don't forget to look at the road tonight.
It was everything.
And she turns away.
Is she leaving the tent?
Nope, she is ushering you out of the tent.
Oh. Well, before we leave, Vedata will take the telescope lens, put it on the table. Without saying anything, he's just going to leave it there.
The lens, because the telescope, you have a telescope.
Yeah, I've got a telescope. I mean the lens that Stanmir gave me.
Okay. All right, well, take that card out of your hand. You can play it to the tabletop.
How do I do that?
Okay. There you go. All right. No item for you.
Nova's going to hang back slightly as everyone else leaves the tent. Just
Okay.
unless Madam Eva's going to absolutely shove everyone else at the same time.
Well, she's kind of waving you all out of the tent.
Is there any way that Nova could swipe the lens Vidata left?
Well, why don't you make a sleight of hand check, or whatever they call it these days?
The sleight of hand. She's not very good at this. She's not very dexy. Ooh.
Kira sees Nova trying to steal the lens, and I'm assuming failing, so she's willing to give an assist and also try, because in theory, Kira should be able to be better at this.
It's hard to assist with palming something.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get a 1?
More of a...
No, you didn't get a 1. Sorry, what was
Very
that?
low.
I was gonna say more that she watches her fail, so she kind of is going to attempt after her.
Oh, I see. Well, let's see.
Well, it's a crowded space. There's only one person they're trying to hide it from, so distraction should work.
Madam Eva casts a sharp eye down at the item on the table and then up at you, Nova. And she shrugs and says, "If you can get him to take it, Ellie, take it."
I believe in gods, but I do believe in fate. And she'll pocket the lens.
Okay. Well, as you guys file out of Madam Eva's tent, she leans out and says again, "Good luck!" Okay. So, you guys are at the Sarahpool encampment. Ooh. And you have had the Taroka reading by Madam Eva. So congratulations on that. That is a milestone. So you all are going to be leveling up to level 3. Please level between sessions. So next time you will be level 3. So congratulations on that.
Awesome.
Now, I'm going to hide the Taroka decks again. Now, this is an important moment in the game. We have now passed through the somewhat on rails, although you could have left the rails, but somewhat on rails part of the opening, the introduction of Curse of Strahd. And now, as I warned you in session 0, now we are entering a very, very open world game. So you can now, I mean, you always could have gone anywhere and did it whatever you liked, but it was kind of on rails. So now it's very, very open. There are no Vistani kind of egging you on to go to a particular spot. You will, this is your first milestone, so congratulations. To play this game, you will, there's a kind of old school vibe here where you will need to be going around Barovia, doing stuff. Leveling up is an important part of the story. And yet you do that partially by finding these important items that and other things that people that Madam Eva has clued you into with her Taroka reading. Okay, so all player, we're just stepping aside here for a moment and discussing how this game works, so that we're all on the same page. So you will, not including Madam Eva's items, but finding these items, foretold of, these significant items, these legendary items, foretold of, some of them foretold in that Taroka reading that you just had, and clues given as to the locations. Finding them actually is a milestone, as is doing anything really significant or important, like the reading itself. Are there any questions about any of that? I'm going to shrink these horses because it's also bothering me.
It's funny because they're like the size of the tent, and it's.
I know, it's really weird.
I'm not sure if you have it down, but if it would be okay, could you paste the dialogue from the readings? Because it was a lot all at once, and I didn't.
Yeah, I mean that the Taroka reading is kind of an iconic moment for Curse of Strahd. So hopefully some of it stuck. But sure, no problem. I will paste all of that text into the, I guess the Discord makes sense.
Yes.
So I will just paste that into the handouts section.
It was Tempter. It wasn't Templar, was it?
Tempter.
Tempter.
Yep.
Hot
Templar
lady.
was the centerpiece. Druid was west, Executioner was south, Tempter was center, Beggar was east, and Conjurer was north.
Mm-hmm.
Can we see the world map? Oh wait, Dahlia would, as they leave the tent, would look around for I know his name's not Sylvester, the guy with the earring.
Stanimir?
Stanimir.
Yes, Stanimir.
Sylvester Stallone is there. Now go on.
He raises his fists. Roll initiative.
She will look for Stanimir.
Okay, he is there. He's having a real good time. While you guys have been talking to Madam Eva for a while, he's been drinking heavily.
Okay, she will approach him, even though he's been drinking heavily, and will kind of like wave in his face to get his attention. And say, "Excuse me, sir. We'd like a map. Do you have a map we can buy?"
He says, sure, no problem at all. Just ask my son, Ratka. He's got a map. Ratka.
And where might he be?
He jerks his thumb over toward one of the tents where you see Rotka and a female Vistana chatting and passing a wineskin back and forth.
You will approach.
Rotka certainly agrees to give you a map. There is one in the handouts in the in the Discord, but I'll also put you over to that page here on Roll20 as you guys pore over the map. Oh, nice screenshot, Mavs. Thank you.
Mavs is always taking notes.
I love it.
Excellent.
As you guys pore over this map in the light of the bonfire, as the sun has completely set and the stars are trying to break through the cloud cover. So you are right here.
I've also noticed the road is like off kilter slightly.
What do you mean?
If you look at it, the red line for Old Slavich Road.
Oh, I probably did that by accident.
I've done that so many times. Yeah.
Done what?
I moved the Old Slavich Road when I've been doing the map.
Oh.
And I sit there and I'm staring at it for like 20 minutes. I'm like, something's wrong. What is it?
That better?
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you. It was going to bother me until I said something.
Sure.
Well, oh, never mind. I guess that's not true.
I would really like to go back to that crying place. As we
Before we
kind of...
do,
Why would we bother someone in their mourning?
It sounded more than mourning.
Sounded like grief to me.
we also do need to speak to the Burgomaster about that vampire. Could be a good lead.
Is not the vampire just the lord that we've been tasked of liberating?
Oh, no, remember? There was another vampire. Someone had been bitten in the village of Barovia. We could head there and kill two birds with one stone, if you mind my phrasing. Find out about who was bitten, see what it done to them. We can try and gauge exactly the nature of the Lord's curse, maybe. Vampires are unique that way. We might be able to find something out. While we're there, there's no harm in aiding whoever this person is, and if they don't want to be aided, looks over at Alina and Dahlia. If this person doesn't want help, you mustn't give it to them. You need to give people time to grieve. You should know that.
Out of curiosity, what's Vedetta's charisma?
Fucking... he's a dad. That's his charisma.
Alright.
12. He's just used to telling people off.
I see that.
So like, everything he says and does is like half scorn. He's like half telling you off constantly because he's just used to it.
That is clear.
He will look at the group and say, unless you people have another idea, I don't want to be the person who tells you where to go. I've done enough of that already.
Dahlia points at the map. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kata.
I didn't pay much attention while we were on the way here. Too much new stuff. But didn't someone say something about the wolves and the bats spying for the Lord?
Yes.
So, how do we travel safely?
Lord knows we're here already.
Yeah.
Kata.
Yeah, he tested us, I guess, when we
No,
came here.
it seems he did, so I don't think there's a way we can get around him or sneak through past him. That's something we should be aware of. Good eye there, Cutter. We need to remember that the Lord is watching us, and this could all be a test.
Dahlia will point at, will have the map unfurled, and she will point to 2 locations and say, I think what we should do is start looking into what our fortune was. And she will point at Lake Bartok and the Sir Falls. And will say, now if this is a large waterfall, which clearly it is, possibly a river could have killed a city there. I don't know how big it is, but it's possible. But more likely, and she will point to Lake Bartok, this is where the river destroyed a city. A village, I mean. There seem to only be 2 rivers on this map, and I think we should start seeking them out.
Which card was that she said?
Conjurer.
Were there not a lot of graves when we passed to the Ser pool?
Only a few. And there was the news on one side, or the gallows without the news, and there was like a few unmarked graves on the other side. I don't think it was a large graveyard, but
Okay.
Dahlia, you speak of this drowned village that Madam Eva told us about. If we were to visit the Burgomaster, would he not have records on every village nearby? Including those wiped out?
Why would we want him knowing our business?
A good point.
Seems desperate for help, though. I see no reason why we couldn't leverage that against him. We can kill many birds with one stone.
That is also a very good point, Nova. We could use this promise of hope, promise of freedom from the Lord, or the devil as they call it, use it as our advantage. Although Madam Eva told us that we're not the first ones to come through here.
And you think there are none loyal to him, that they might not spy on us?
Vidata's going to look up into the sky. Are there any ravens currently in the air?
There are.
Vidata's just going to point and look at Dahlia and says, already being spied on everywhere we go.
Why would we help him along, though?
It's never
Make his
bad
job
having
easier.
Sorry, Katie.
It's never bad having an ally. Or someone that owes us a debt. We can't do this on our own, you know.
Depends who that someone is.
I do think Nova kind of points, just gestures to the birds that have adopted, and is like, I am I don't think I believe in everything that the Vistani believe in, but the ravens are not the same as the wolves. And I think we should keep that in mind when choosing our allies.
It's very insightful. I think that's a good way of thinking, yes.
Kata seems a bit confused.
Perhaps we should vote on where we go from here. We seem to be in 2 minds. Looks to Dahlia and says, would that be easier? Other than arguing and coming up with pros and cons, vote. We act as one group, one people, one goal.
One Adventurers Guild?
Kata scratches the back of his head and is like, shouldn't a vote be after discussion?
We have discussed, Kata.
I have questions.
I apologize. He kind of frowns and scratches the back of his head. I get caught up in these things. He just steps back a little bit and raises his hands as in an apologetic way.
We have the card reading. Are we taking this as a guide to what to do? At all?
I believe so.
Should be careful, though. I suspect lies in her words. Can't trust fortune tellers.
Dahlia will give him a very sharp look.
Kind of shrugs
Or
and says,
star readers.
"Yeah." He kind of shrugs and says, "You haven't told my fortune yet. Keep it that way."
He'll just
I
give
mean,
him a slow, like, grudgeful look.
I mean, no offense. I've just had a lot of bad experiences with them.
I see one stone might kill more than just our problems.
What I'm trying to understand, and Kata is like looking at the map, is does any of the cards we've been shown say anything about the village? Do we feel like we're strong enough to attempt one of the cards even? He seems entirely confused by the concept, by the way.
But that's what I mean. It's us working alone that sounds dangerous, especially in a land trying to kill us. I just don't want to walk into a trap and have no way out.
Do you think we should make friends before we follow the path of the cards, basically?
Yeah. And if they don't want to be friends with us, we move on. Not everyone here is evil, I'm sure.
What about you, Mavs? I haven't heard you speak yet. You must have some opinion on this.
Mavs is kind of just still brooding a little bit at the idea that somebody's picking a path for us, and he just kind of says, like, it makes no difference to me. He's like, I am an author. I don't write choose your adventure. He's like, whatever the group feels is the best option, I will go with.
What do you feel is the best option? Even as an author, you have to have a heart and a mind to write your story. You can't walk a path without a direction, can you? You can't write without an idea.
So, it took me all this time to find that handout with the letter from Kolyan Indarovich again. But there it is. And whoever was listening closely, anyone with an intelligence of 12 or higher, you can pick up on the fact that Vedata said that he was pretty sure that someone besides this Irina Kolyana was bitten. But upon thinking back on the letter, that's not actually in there. Yet, Vedata, you have a vague memory of this for some reason.
Vedata's like consciously aware of the visions he gets, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he will like pat the little orb on the head and give it a smile. And he says, well, Nova, you've spoken already. Kira, what do you think?
Kira is willing to go with the majority. She doesn't quite believe anything that's going on. and is interested in sort of seeing what the group chooses and going with their path.
He looks over it. He's already asked Nova, so it's just, yeah, he kind of looks to Dahlia and says, what do you think? It seems we all wish to find an ally, or at least find a direction before we make our decision. Are you with us?
Well, obviously I'm with you. I'm not going to wander off in another direction. I just think that meddling is not what we should be doing.
May I ask your expertise for a moment? You are a fortune teller, yes?
I am?
Because our fortune has been told, does this mean it's set in stone, or can our actions still change it? Is that what you fear?
I do not know, but I know that if it can tell us something about why we're in this place and help us get out and help us do what we need to do here, I think it's more worth our time than a crying woman.
You have a Taraka deck yourself, do you not?
I do.
Perhaps he frowns a little as he says this. You can see the words feel dirty as he says them. Perhaps it would be good to study the cards during our journey and attempt to lean deeper into the clairvoyancy of them to see where we should head. Right now we have vague descriptions, nothing we can follow. We do know of 2 people who need help, but while we may be here to do whatever it is with the Lord, we are adventurers hired by Lady Morwen. I think that's the name.
We've just forgotten our master.
Yes.
we are adventurers hired. Let's go do a few good deeds and earn a few coin. Also dying for a drink, and that place had a tavern.
The smell of
Speaking
wine is
of-
also quite strong here as the party is heating up as the night gets colder at the Tsir pool. The Vistani are laughing, joking, playing music, and getting rip-roaringly drunk.
Yeah, Vidat will go. We will need your expertise on this journey, Dahlia. If our course is set by the fates, you're the only one who can communicate with them. So don't think I'm casting you aside in my words. I value you, and I know your magic and your expertise is going to be useful. And I think for now we should walk our own path until we find a way to understand the fate.
Well, I'm not going to go against the majority.
Thank you. For now, I
For a
think we
set
should.
night anyway, we should just drink.
Yeah, that's
I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend drinking anything these Vistani make, but yes, we should enjoy ourselves a little before we leave.
Do you think we can find safe passage with the Vistani for beyond here? I mean, they clearly... Stanimir is not a host anymore. He clearly is done. Katas definitely has problems finding the proper words for describing the situation. It's also so foreign to him. But they seem like the safest haven we have.
You could ask. Kata.
Not a people person.
Are any of us? Nova's like laughing.
Elena.
I only know. Yeah. Lena seems more like she's in tune with people and has a persuasive nature about her. I can scold anyone. I'm pretty good at that. You get used to it after raising a child. They can be number of hands full.
The orb of light just kind of zips around Vidata's head for a second, like angrily.
I don't think your son liked that.
No, I don't think he did.
Because son is alive in that orb.
Yes, it is his soul. No, I did not trap him. I did not kill him. I was a soldier in a war, and he was a casualty. That is why I took up the druidic arts so heavily. I wish to find a place to lay his soul to rest, as he has been trapped on this plane. If I must die doing so, very well. That is my business. You do not need to get involved if you do not wish to.
It sounds sweet, Alina will pipe up and say. Purer intentions than I think a lot of people have nowadays.
Thank you. But either way, let's enjoy this night and head out in the morning, I guess.
Sounds like.
Before we do, I need to go. Possibly start a fight, so I'll talk to you all. I'll talk to you all later.
All right.
Vidata's gonna walk off and go look for that fucking Vistani that might have stole his hair. And he's rolling up his sleeves as he does and like brushing his hands off.
Okay. Make an investigation check. Do you wish to bargain with the dark powers?
Yes. I'm gonna use my inspiration and bargain with the dark powers.
Okay. All right. Technically, you're supposed to use your inspiration before you roll, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
So that's 13.
Okay. So Vidata's going to get another point of corruption.
A speedrunning corruption, I see.
And end up with a 13. Vidata, you discover that well, you don't it's more about what you don't discover. You don't discover this fellow around the fire with your friends, your allies, drinking or laughing or anything like that. You don't find him checking on the horses with the other horse traders. You don't find him with the wood carvers or gamblers. In fact, you aren't spotting him anywhere at all. And when you ask around a little bit, do a little of in-person investigation, you find out that this fellow's name is Ankra, and Vistani come and go from the caravans from time to time, stepping away, just like Jordan has to do right now. And he didn't come back.
So the party would see Vidata like wander through the camp for a while, asking people questions.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming there's like a lot of just like bottles of alcohol lying around and stuff? It's like they're drinking a lot, you said.
Yeah,
right?
they were drinking. They mostly put the wine into skins, but yes, fundamentally, there's. I mean, you know, they're not like dirty or anything, but it is a party, so you know, yeah, stuff is getting dropped.
If Vidata can find something to drink, he's just gonna drink it. He's gonna join him with the drinking after that. He looks fucking angry.
He joins
So he's just-
the drinking.
Yeah,
At
he's gonna
which
get drunk.
He is welcome.
Does Vidata play wine pong?
Vidata will.
Wine pong.
Vidata will play strip poker if you ask him to at this point.
He's just. I don't think his son would like to see that, so probably not.
Well, all right then.
As Vidata like stalks off after this dude, Dahlia will go off into a corner of the revelries and will set up shop with a little like her guitar, or not guitar, Jesus, her violin case down on the floor as she starts to play a song.
The Vistani will greatly. Some will be greatly excited by that and will try to get her to play certain tunes, certain common tunes that she may or may not know.
If she knows them, she will play them, but always in like slightly a minor, like a more minor key, and a little bit slower than anyone remembers it. She's an angsty girl.
The party pooper bard is amazing.
No more. She
Everybody's-
likes to have people crying into their cups. That's the effect that she enjoys having.
Got it. All right, so this
Like
is,
make
this is
people
too
think of
happy.
home and lost loved ones.
Got it.
Oh,
At a dance party.
I don't know if I can call up a violin song right now, but
I'll do
can
some
imagine.
music searching and I'll just give you a library to use for it.
Sure. There you go. Very okay. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, you know, she'll be plied with wineskins, and in the attempt to get her to play happier tunes. Absolutely.
I do love Emily Autumn. Nova won't actually. She said drink, but she doesn't actually drink. She steps away. Not enough to get lost into the darkness or anything, but she does step kind of like away from the camp into like a bit more of like the darkness. And if anyone looks to kind of see what she's doing, they'll see like shadows just slowly crawling out of her body and then coming back in, and then another shape forming, you know, out of her shoulder, and then like vanishing back into her. And she'll do that until everyone goes to bed. So she's off being a creeper in the shadows of the camp.
The few Vistani who observe this look quite disturbed. Most are busy with the party that's happening.
Alina is going to try and find an older-looking gentleman or woman to ask him a few more questions. She's quite curious about Strahd character. She wants more information.
Okay.
That's okay.
Well, these half-drunk folks are more than willing to talk. Half-drunk. They're more than half now. What you want to ask more about Strahd?
Yeah, I want to ask about his council and the people he has around him, and how one would get to know of these people. Yeah. Go on. I can hear screeching. I don't know who that is. I don't know what that
That's
is.
the music.
Okay, that was.
Sorry.
Yeah,
it's
the music is mean.
It's the music. Might be a little too dark for this. There we go. Let's see. Well, you are told that Strahd named his castle, Ravenloft, after his beloved mother, Queen Ravenovia. Strahd doesn't have too many people around him, as strangers aren't welcome at the castle without an invitation. But he does have servants.
Is she able to get any? Oh, she would also ask if they're like him.
Ask what?
Ask if they're like him as well, like vampiric. Because we do know that, right? I don't want to overstep what knowledge.
I don't think that we know that.
The
I mean,
devil,
we know he drinks.
the
He
devil
drinks
Strahd,
blood and drains the life.
Yeah.
the devil Strahd is known as a vampire, but he does seem to have consorts, including one who might recently have been active in the village of Barovia
Okay.
and have bitten someone there, just as predicted by Vidata's dreams.
Awesome. Yeah, she will step away to probably drink with whoever's sitting and drinking. Probably Vidata or Mabs.
While the party is going on, when there's enough alcohol flowing, which happens at about 10 o'clock at night, judging by the dark, a particular Vistana, actually it's Stanimir's daughter, Damia, tells a story, which is something that they do as part of their tradition. She stands up, and a few stop, making so much noise and listen to her. She tells this story. A mighty wizard came to this land over a year ago. I remember him like it was yesterday. He stood exactly where you're standing. A very charismatic man he was. He thought he could rally the people of Barovia against the devil Strahd. He stirred them with thoughts of revolt and bore them to the castle en masse. When the vampire appeared, the wizard's peasant army fled in terror. A few stood their ground and were never seen again. The wizard and the vampire cast spells at each other. Their battle flew from the courtyards of Ravenloft to a precipice overlooking the falls. I saw the battle with my own eyes. Thunder shook the mountainside, and great rocks tumbled down upon the wizard, yet by his magic he survived. Lightning from the heavens struck the wizard, and again he stood his ground. But when the devil Strahd fell upon him, the wizard's magic couldn't save him. I saw him thrown 1,000 feet to his death. I climbed down to search for the wizard's body to see if, in anything of value. But the River Ivlis had already spirited him away. There's a smattering of applause. She finishes the story, and there's less objection to the darker, moodier music that your bard is playing.
You said earlier that there's people tending to the horses. I assume
There
they filed in with the rest of the revelers by now.
Absolutely.
If Kata remembers, like recognizes one of the people that were part of the horse tearing group, he would like approach one of them and ask them about like how do they do that with the horseshoes? If they have any equipment in the camp? He seems to be slightly inebriated at this point, and
Absolutely. Let's see. They are more than happy to talk horses with you. However, the Vistani who do horse trading are real experts. And I'm not sure whether Kata is.
Kata is, when it comes to transportation, he's more interested in the carts than in the horses. So he can probably talk shop about carts by now, just by having looked at them intensely over the last few days. But it's two things he kind of wants to find out while talking to them. First, can he actually like not? He doesn't want a horse. He wants to like use their tools. When he assumes they have a small smithy somewhere, not here but somewhere. And the other thing is he kind of like wants to know these people and wants to figure out how the Vistani that are not part of Stanimir's group interact with strangers. Like, are they actually like, are we actually welcome here, or is it more like we're being, what's the word?
Tolerated?
Do they like tolerate it because Stanimir brought us in and we get this one night of you know of a head start?
Well, since you're friends of Madam Eva's, you're more than welcome to stay the night in the camp. If you are wanting an escort on the roads of Barovia, I'm sure you can find someone who's willing to act as a guide. Or are you asking about something else?
Now that was what I wanted to know. And the other thing is, like, he points down at his armor, and the armor is like all dented and broken in parts. Like, I was hoping like one of you people had had a smithy around here somewhere.
Of course. Yeah, everything's mobile. And I think everyone's too drunk to do any work tonight. Unfold the tables and get out the tools.
I might just hit you guys up in the morning.
Well, all right. You remember that the Vistani have all the best skills.
That they do.
The villagers can't match us. We have the best silversmiths in Barovia.
Kata tries to blend in. He fails.
Okay. All right. Well, the party continues. Late into the night. Eventually, some of the older Vistani start thinking about going to bed. But they echo what Madam Eva said about keeping an eye on the road. And round about a little bit after midnight, any of you that are still awake see an eerie bluish light coming down the old Svalich road. And it gets closer you can start to see it's a sort of a river of light coming from the cemetery of the village of Barovia, which you have a kind of a vantage point on. And it moves with a somewhat meandering motion. As it gets closer and passes by along the high road above the camp. Up here. You can make out a kind of processional. These are people walking, but they glow. This eerie bluish or sometimes greenish light. These are wavering images of doughty women toting greatswords, wood-wise men with slender bows, dwarves with glittering axes, and archaically dressed mages with beards and strange pointy hats. All these and more march forth along the road, their numbers growing by the second, shedding an eerie light over the pool. And just before he turns in, Stanimir says, those aren't the spirits of the people buried here, but of previous adventurers who died trying to destroy the devil Strahd. Every night, they attempt to complete their quest, and each night, they fail. And folks, that is where we are going to call an end to our second session of Curse of Strahd. I hope you had fun.
Hell yeah.
Awesome. I sure did. I sure did. That was
It
a
was
lot of fun.
hardcore.
What'd you say?
Yeah.
Oh, that was hardcore. That was a great way to end. It was so creepy. I love it.
Yep.
I like my
That was
magic
awesome.
item, Mr.
Nicely done.
DM.
I
Thank you.
Good.
Dude,
You're
this-
welcome.
This sword is sexy. I am so into it.
I'm good.
Oh, yeah.
Good,
I was
good,
ready
good.
to use my legend lore right away.
I know. Well, yeah. That was, I mean, it just, you would have had to lose out on your rest, and then, who knows what could happen. So.
I know, it's okay.
But,
I get it. Being exhausted in Barovia is not a good idea.
Probably not. But yeah, I gotta second that. Like the magic items are pretty spot on, I think, for like everyone. So wow.
Good. Now you know why I asked for your favorite. Because don't forget, Madam Eva knows all. She can give the perfect gift.
I should say, as a player, I love my magic item.
Okay.
Vidata doesn't like the Vistani at all.
Yeah,
He hates them, so
I
that's
got
why he
that.
didn't. That's why he gave it back.
I got that. Well, I'm glad you as a player like it. But
Yeah.
But yes, If Madam Eva is going to give you the perfect gift, but you don't like it, that's your problem.
Yeah, exactly. But that was
And
just
for what it's worth,
delightful.
if Vedanta ever warms up to the idea, it's not actually gone. I mean, he doesn't know that.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
But-
I mean, he probably does. He has the highest wisdom, and he has 20 wisdom. I think his passive is higher than what you rolled.
Good lord.
Oh yeah, for sure.
How does he have a 20?
Yeah, like-
Oh, right, he's a gur or whatever. Thank you to Wishy, player of Alina. Thank you to Rin or Caboose, player of Nova. Thank you to May, player of Dahlia. Thank you to Manos, player of Vidata. Thank you to Jordo, player of Mavs. Thank you to Comrade, player of Kira. And thank you to Yog, player of Kata. You guys are awesome. Thank you for putting up. Thank you for putting up with my nonsense. And I look forward to a lot more fun times. I'm going to stop recording here. So, thank you to anyone who watches this later. You're awesome.
Thank you for that fantastic session.
Thank you.